for discussion regarding city policy, regarding city council policy requiring a majority of city council approval for reconsideration of a past item. Presentation by our city attorney, Mr. Colin Burns.
Great, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This was another item that I was asked to present on. This is for council-initiated items for future consideration. We have an ordinance that talks about items for future consideration. It says that it requires a council member raising an item and then getting at least one concurring vote to have it placed on a future agenda. The way to amend that ordinance would be to add a sentence that says, notwithstanding the foregoing, at least two concurring votes shall be required when the items be considered, and one of two options, or others in council discretion. These are the suggestions depending on how restrictive council would like to make it. Has been or concerns the same subject as an item considered by council within the previous 12 months. The difference in these two clauses, first, has been considered. It's narrow, and I got this text from a resource called Jurassic Parliament. It's a blog website that talks about parliamentary procedures, but this is narrow. The two concurrents, in other words, 3 votes, would only be required when it's the same motion. So in very limited circumstances, the 3 votes would be required, versus if you have the same subject, it's broad. If we've talked about the subject before within the past 12 months, to have it brought up as items for future consideration would require 3 votes. The same subject rule was taken from the California Constitution, talking about initiatives. So the suggestion would be we would interpret same subject the same way, because we have some law, some legal precedent for it, and is it reasonably germane to a common theme, purpose, or subject? So that will grab, that's broad. So if we've spoken about a matter, if another matter is raised that is within the same theme, purpose, or subject, or germane to it, then it would require 3 votes. So the same subject rule would not prevent the item from being discussed again, but in a lot of cases it would require at least 2 concurring votes to rediscuss something that had been considered 12 months before. Staff is seeking council direction. The alternatives: take no action and leave things as they are. Have a narrow rule, has been considered, which means only the same motion can't be brought twice. Have a broad rule, same subject, which means if the subject matter has been discussed, to discuss it again, it would take 3 votes, or take some other action.
All right, I'll go ahead and open the floor for my colleague to dive in on this one. Anybody have any comments?
I do.
All right, Councilmember Constantine.
Okay, so first of all, it just doesn't feel right to do this. I have Brown Act concerns, and to me, I just don't understand. I mean, an idea that's being brought forth is merely a moment in time, and that idea is either going to get a second by another council member or more, just support, or the idea is going to fail. And I know well the failure, because I've had a few of mine. It's been a while, campaign contributions and this and that, and just, it's a moment in time, and I don't think that we need to do something like this. Like I said, it really does not feel right, and it doesn't make sense to me, and I don't think we need to be fully conscious of, when these matters have been proposed, the ideas. I did bring up a matter recently about cash to be required to be accepted under certain conditions, following the pattern of an ordinance that the city of Newport Beach is doing. Okay, so that didn't go well. The idea went forth. We did have a study session. We didn't get council member consensus, and it could be that in time, a situation changes in the community where we find ourselves having more businesses that are not accepting cash, and so the idea could be brought forward at any point in time. So I think this is a non-issue for me.
Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, I'll go.
All right, Councilmember RUDENESS.
So the reason for this is so that we don't waste staff time. So it's it's not a matter that you can't bring it back. It's what's happening is things are being brought back, and there still isn't consensus. So you get a shot at it, and if it goes forward, then that's great. And if it doesn't go forward, then what's the expectation that to bring it back again with just one person, you still don't have council majority. I know staff won't say anything about this, but I think they would be very pleased if we were to move forward with this. It doesn't mean we can't bring something back. It just means that we're going to have a consensus to bring it back. So there's a chance that it could move forward. But if it's the same one or two people, they could bring it back every single meeting. So this way, if there's three, then there's a pretty good chance it's either going to move forward or there's a potential to talk about it. So it's just saving staff time, staff effort. You know, the hotel tax is a great example of that. It was brought back twice within a year. I supported it. I was overruled. We didn't have a majority on it, but we could bring that again next meeting if there's two people that want to do it, and the meeting after that, and the meeting after that. If we require at least three, then most likely it would move forward, and it's not a waste of staff time. It's just preventing us from bringing the same old thing over and over again that has no chance of moving forward.
Okay, so my question, because this is the point where we discuss it, sorry, Mr. Mayor, but it's relevant. The TOT tax, the potential TOT tax was brought forth by me. That would then, if we had consensus to put it on the ballot at the appropriate election time, not a special election, so timing was key. That's why it was brought up last year before the election, so, you know, it could possibly go. I did not know at that time 3 of my colleagues are on the Republican Central Committee. That's a problem for this matter to get the consensus for the matter to be on the ballot. I'm not in agreement that this should even exist. I will never put myself in a position ever where I can't move for the benefit of this community. So had I known that, and I mean, I knew, but it didn't click with me that that was a thing. So while I don't agree, I do respect the fact that they just can't even support the idea, or it's not going to be good for their position. So I get that. So what other matter, though, have we had? And at the same time, before I even say that, once a matter is seconded by a council member, it goes to staff, it gets on our agenda, staff will have done the research and whatnot to put it together. When the matter comes before us again and gets seconded by another, the staff already has that information because the research and work was already done. If nothing changes, then that information comes, it's the same. It's just a matter of typing the agenda item on the agenda. If there's any newer information, that would get inserted into the presentation. I don't see that to be tremendously laborious.
Well, in your example, it's a great example. In your example, if you wanted to bring it back, you could bring it back as many times as you want. But unless there's 3 of us who say, let's move forward, it still takes staff time to create it as part of the agenda and all that. Why bring it back unless there's a consensus?
Well, I think it also sends a message, too. I mean, depending on what the item is.
You can bring it back every time.
The other one's a moot point.
But you can bring it back every time.
Well,
You just need 3 people so that it's not, and we're not talking about presentations or anything like that. We're talking about future consideration. I don't know, Maggie, if you want to speak on this, but I think your staff would be appreciative that we don't bring something back that's already been presented unless there's a chance that 3 of us would move forward with it.
You asked Maggie to speak on it. Have you had a separate conversation with Maggie on this?
I have had conversations with staff members, yes.
At this point, I'm reference to Maggie because you asked Maggie to speak on it.
What do you care?
It's for transparency because you say, hey, Maggie, you want to talk on, you put her on the spot. So I'm asking you, do you have a separate conversation on that?
I haven't had a direct conversation with this specific thing other than when I brought it up the first time I talked to her afterwards about it.
All right. Okay. I'm sorry. I know you have a point. Let me make a point to Councilmember Constantine. First of all, I do not appreciate that you characterize the 3 council member because we sit on the Central Committee. That's what of the Republican Party. That's why we're not for this. No. Regardless if I sit on there or not, I do not believe instituting any high tax. As we understand, you just want to label any way you want it. It's a form of increasing tax to the people.
Okay, but wait a minute.
Hold on,
Guys,
I'm
that's
sorry.
not the
Hold on.
But the
No,
tax
it is.
would
Hold on.
not be
Let me finish my
paid by-
thoughts.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll let you finish your thought.
Okay.
The point I'm trying to make on this is I do not appreciate that characterizations and you just label tax a different way. I do not, we all understand that why do we need to increase tax? To offset our budget. And why do we need so? If the government gets too big, we need to find a way to substitute by find a way because the city is not in the business of making money. They find a way to tax the people. I do not believe in that. We have to spend within our means and we have to be competitive in the market. I get it. But we don't find a way to subsidize no form of tax. That has nothing to do with the party affiliation. It has to do in the belief how a government should operate. Operate within its mean. No, because I've been talking that way. Reference to Councilmember Grandis, to your point. So as you see on here, there's 3 directions. Which directions are you considering?
I would prefer 3, and if not, then 2 would work as well, but I don't think it's as strong.
Okay. All right. I want to go ahead and leave the floor for discussion for Council Vice Mayor Jim Cunningham, please.
Thank you, Mayor. So kind of get back to the topic in front of us, which is really a parliamentary procedure, and as a body, what we agreed to as rules for discussing ideas, bringing them forward. I think the broad rule, same subject. I'm not sure that captures the essence of what we're trying to accomplish here. I think this is a parliamentary procedure. If you look at Robert's rules, which is a source for a lot of the rules for governing bodies, they talk about how generally after a topic or a motion's been disposed of on a dais, that there is a finality to that. However, a motion could be brought back if the body agrees to special procedures. So I think what we're trying to do here is kind of create a special procedure, and I think having a narrow rule to revisit what's been considered helps us be not only efficient, economical with staff time, because we talked about that as a factor, but also it doesn't seem to me to be restrictive because a motion can always be revived. There's always that ability to bring a concept back. It just has a higher threshold of approval. And I think that's really what we're trying to accomplish here is, do we agree as a body that if we want to get our idea across the finish line, that we got to do something more? And that's simply the rule, the procedure I think we're trying to develop here. So I would support a narrow rule has been considered, because we know that there are opportunities to revive really anything that we want to bring back to the dais.
Okay. All right, thank you so much.
Well said, much better than the way I said it. Good job.
All right. Councilmember Harper?
Yeah, for me, it's a little bit of a, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I don't think it's really been an issue with the current policy, so I don't see any urgency to change it. What we might do is look at other cities with 5 council members and see what their rules are. But I don't really see any need to change the current procedures.
All right, thank you so much, Councilmember Harper, for your feedback. The only thing that struck me in the question of this proposed rules that's being presented here, I want to look at on the different angle. Would this, on items, for example, if we have a council that has, let's say, super majority, would this cause problem to the city in the near future? As we could see neighboring city, when they have a super majority, things can get pretty ugly, and it might lead to a political gridlock. That's what I'm concerned. Addition to that, this will also impact those who has limit the minority voice. How's that going to impact on that? And how is it going to also perceive as a political motivated? I don't know, because all I'm hearing is staff time. Well, we're here to do the people business, right? So that's why we're here. So I perceive the people business important as well, not just staff time. So this concerns me that, by moving to a 3 is a deliberate choice to raise the bar, typically done to prevent relitigations of issues and promote cohesion, but it also restricts access to the agenda. That is something to consider. Is that what you're trying to do? Limited access to the agenda for those who might not have a clear voice? That's concerning.
Oh,
That's something
wait. Oh my God, you're going forever. Go ahead.
Patience is a virtue, okay?
Not tonight, it's not.
Well, we're here to do city business.
I told you not to jinx the,
I thought so.
And doing so also can lead to discourage independent thinking. Why? Because they feel like, I'm not going to get on this one, so I'm not going to bring it up. So you discourage independent thinking. That is something to consider of.
I don't know who writes this for you, but you just made the argument for me. If it's a supermajority, then it would have passed in the first place. If it's a minority council, then it's already been defeated once, and if there's still the minority, it's going to continue to be defeated. Why have staff work on it and bring it back? Your argument is in favor of doing what we're trying to do.
But there's other points I've said or raised as well. And second, I do not appreciate you can say, I'm not sure who's writing this for you. First of all, this is an item, study session. I do my own homework. So I do not appreciate that you make statement as such. It's not appropriate, it's not professional.
When you always read things, it makes it.
Can I ask a question of our city attorney? Now, I think we have kind of an unofficial rule where if, let's say, an item's been brought up, let's say, Councilmember Constantine brought it up, Councilmember Granda seconded, and then it didn't go forward after the study session, then I think our informal rule is that in order to revive it, then one of the other members would have to sort of suggest the agenda, which is, but I don't know if that's, I don't know if we have that rule, or maybe I'm not.
That's not the way it's been. I hear what you're saying, and that's not bad either, but it's not the way we've been doing it. We've had I don't know, Maggie, help me out here. Over the last 18 months, how many times have similar items been brought back multiple times?
Well, before she answers, can I ask, Kim,
Sure.
can I ask,
Sure. So we have that for an item that has been considered. We don't use that for a study session item. So when an item's considered and there's a vote and it fails 3-2, then we do a motion for reconsideration at the next meeting when a person in the majority changes their opinion.
Oh,
And
I got it. So
we use that for
that's for a motion for reconsideration, got it,
Yeah.
okay, all right, thanks for
We do use that
clarifying.
informally, as you stated, we do use that informally for items for future consideration, where it's been considered with an actual vote.
I would agree with you, Councilmember Harper, if you want to do that does the same thing here.
But it's still.
Okay. Anyone else have any comment? Okay. All right. If I don't hear any more comments, do you have somewhat clear directions, Mr. City Attorney?
We need clarification. I mean,
Yeah,
what's
I have-
our,
I would go with Councilman Harper on item number 2.
I say number 1.
Yeah, I guess I would say, if we have that as an informal policy, I wouldn't want to write an ordinance to say that, but, I think if we can, that would be my thinking. If it becomes a problem, and maybe Maggie can answer your question on how many times has it been an issue in the past, but I don't think it's a big enough issue to change the ordinance.
If we do it unofficially, I'm okay with that. It's the principle of it. Let's not keep bringing the same things back unless there's 3 votes. Or in this case, somebody who voted no before, or yes, or however it is, changes their vote. I'm okay with that too.
All right. Does that
It's a good
help?
compromise.
And how would you?
Does that help the direction?
No.
Yes, what I would do is I would take no action, and then if the matter came up again, maybe we could mention it during the council meeting, that we had a discussion about, we have an informal policy that we ask one of the majority to take a different position.
Okay. So no action is taken on the item. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. City Attorney.